Good morning again, and thank you all so much for joining us for our third annual Houston MBDA Export Academy. I am Marshette Turner, the director of the Houston MBDA and your moderator for this workshop. For nearly 3 years now, we've been stricken with the effects of the pandemic and the disruption it has caused for many businesses around the world. Studies have shown that COVID-19 has had an impact on both exporting and importing, with 72% of businesses saying that they are exporting less and 59% of businesses stating that they are importing less than usual. The Houston MBDA wants to do its part to assist firms in recovering from the impact of COVID-19 and find new opportunities overseas. Our Export Academy offers businesses of all sizes and scales the opportunity to attend these free workshops to help you stay competitive in this ever-changing global market. This session will be recorded and all participants have been muted. We're asking that you type your questions into the chat as you think of them in an order for us to answer all questions today. Today, we have an amazing workshop presenter, a seasoned professional in the person of Mr. Peter Tataris, who serves as Senior International Trade Specialist with the U.S. Department of Commerce. He's been there for 11 years, and today, Peter is going to speak to us about a globalized website. Peter?
All right, thank you. Let me just bring up my presentation.
Yes.
Okay, can
Yes.
you all see this?
Yes, Peter.
Perfect. First of all, good morning. I want to thank Ms. Turner, the Houston Office Director of the Minority Business Development Agency, for inviting me to share with you what I hope will be useful information on website globalization. My name is Peter Tataris, and I'm with the U.S. Commercial Service, which is the trade promotion arm of the U.S. Department of Commerce's International Trade Administration. Our mission is encapsulated in the following 3 pillars. 1, we help U.S. companies, especially small and medium enterprises, export their products and services international. 2, we protect U.S. businesses abroad. And 3, we promote and seek foreign direct investment into the U.S. The U.S. Commercial Service has 100 offices nationally and over 70 offices internationally located in U.S. embassies and consulates around the world. Today, in the time I have been allotted, I will cover the following topics. Globalization. What is globalization? I will share with you some important web statistics. It is important for us to have an understanding of how the internet has developed over the years and why it is important for us to have a website in order to be successful internationally. And of course, I will go through web globalization. Is your website set up for international audience? We will cover this and give you some pointers, some information on this. So let's start with what globalization means. Without globalization, we perhaps today would not have been able to sell internationally to other markets. So what is globalization? Globalization means the interconnection. Again, it's the interconnection of national economies across the world on issues such as trade, investment, labor, banking, and the movement of people, goods, and services. That seems like a mouthful, right? But it basically boils down to governments increasingly allowing their citizens to do business across borders. That means selling and buying goods. Let's look at some interesting web statistics. This slide, give me a second here. This timeline displays a forecast of the number of digital buyers worldwide from 2014 to 2021. As you can see, in 2021, over 2.14 billion people worldwide were expected to buy goods and services online, up from 1.66 billion global digital buyers in 2016. Purchasing goods and services online has become a common practice among many people around the world. Some choose to make online purchases for convenience, others because of the competitive price offered by some e-commerce platforms, and so on. Digital buyers can also be influenced by a range of digital resources when shopping, such as the branding of the product, emails they receive, and product reviews. Reasons to purchase aside, the number of digital buyers is on the rise. That is the most important thing, knowing that the number of purchasers, buyers, is increasing worldwide. PayPal is a preferred payment method amongst online shoppers, as more than 40% of online shoppers affirmed using this method. The traditional credit card ranks second with a 31% usage rate, followed by the debit card. So when you develop a website for international sales, then you need to know which form of payment you will have on your website for people to make payments in order to purchase a product and service you sell. Let's go to the next slide. In 2021, as you can see here, retail e-commerce sales amounted to approximately 4.9 trillion, again, 4.9 trillion US dollars worldwide. This figure, if you look at the trend, is forecasted to grow by 50% over the next 4 years, reaching almost 7.4 trillion US dollars. Amazing amount. And look at the development from 2014, 1.3 trillion, all the way to 2025, estimated 7.4 trillion. I think this is also an interesting slide. So when you develop your website, you want to make sure, first of all, that it is configured for mobile usage. What does this mean? A lot of times in the past, or maybe some websites today, if you try to open their website on your mobile device, it doesn't show correctly. It's offline, you can't read it, and so on. So when you develop a website, you want to make sure that it is configured for mobile phones as well. Now, let's look at this slide in more details. Mobile phones generate most of the digital commerce website visits around the world. As you can see here, 71% as opposed to 26% traffic from other means, laptop and so on. And out of this, as of the second quarter of 2022, smartphones accounted for approximately 71% of retail site traffic globally and generated 61% of online shopping orders. And this is amazing. So what this is telling us is, people are looking at our product, our website, our services through not only the laptop, but also through their mobile devices. And after doing this, most of them, 61%, went and bought something they've looked into or something they liked, and so on. Now, what does this slide tell us? And the reason I'm sharing all these slides, it is important that for you to have a grasp on how important and how the internet is developing. And by having this information, you can probably build your strategy much better and focus on regions which we will discuss later on in this presentation. So what does this slide tell us? Internet sales have played an increasingly significant role in retailing. In 2021, e-commerce accounted for nearly 20% of retail sales worldwide, Forecasts indicated that by 2025, the online segment, as you can see here, will make close to a quarter of total global sales. Now, let me give you some more information based on this slide. The average order value of online shopping via smartphones and tablets still lags traditional e-commerce via desktop computers. However, e-retailers around the world have caught up to in mobile e-commerce sales. Online shopping via smartphones is particularly prominent in Asia. So this is a market, if you consider I'm focusing, is you need to have your website configured for mobile phone usage. By the end of 2021, Malaysia was the top digital market based on the percentage of the population that has purchased something over the phone, with nearly 45% having made a weekly mobile purchase. Important, a weekly mobile purchase. South Korea, Taiwan, and the Philippines complete the top of the ranking. Now, according to recent industry calculations, Brazil will rank first in terms of retail e-commerce development, with a compound growth of approximately 20.73% between 2022 and 2025. Online shopping is one of the most popular internet activities worldwide, with some product categories being more popular than others, as we can see. Books are very popular. Apparel is very popular. Gadgets are very popular. Something that is easy to ship overseas. Vitamins could be something popular, but very challenging and very competitive. In 2022, e-commerce sales were forecasted to show the highest growth in Asia, as I've alluded to briefly, and the Americas. The Philippines and India, as you can see on this slide, lead the way, with online sales increasing by more than 25%. So if these are the markets or countries you want to focus on, then this is an estimate that, you know, there is a booming market in these particular countries, Philippines and India. Brazil and Argentina appear to be the fastest growing e-commerce countries in America. So if you take Latin America, Americas, then Brazil and Argentina are the fastest growing in Americas. In 2020, a total, in this slide, over 80% of consumers across the globe shopped online. As you can see here, the global average, 85. North America, we see an average of 78%. Asia, 86%. South America, 86%. And the rest of the world, together, 85%. As of November, I'm sorry, let me just go back here, one back slide. As of November 2020, an estimated 60% of US consumers stated that their online shopping of choice was Amazon, as we probably know, because we have made one or at least many purchases over Amazon, making it by far the favorite e-commerce shop among online shoppers. With less than 15%, Walmart follows. Both male and female consumers in the country had a clear preference for Amazon. However, certain online stores were more popular among specific genders. So this is something that you also need to take into consideration. For instance, more men liked visiting eBay, while a higher percentage of women had a preference for Target. Why do consumers prefer Amazon? Well, there were various reasons why US shoppers used Amazon to buy products in 2020. The leading reason being the fast and free shipping services they provide. Other key factors consumers mentioned included Amazon's broad selection. So you have a wide variety of selections to choose from. And of course, the easy return process. If you bought something, as we all know, you're not satisfied, you can always return back and get your money back. This is a big, big advantage for Amazon. And of course, the platform having some of the lowest prices when you compare to other platforms. Now, on this slide, according to a worldwide survey conducted in 2021, 6 out of 10 online shoppers plan to purchase more through mobiles in the next 5 years, as we mentioned earlier. In the United States, 64% of consumers were willing to increase their online shopping via smartphones. Similar figures were seen in Spain, where 6 in 10 shoppers, as you can see on the slide, intend to buy more goods through their mobile service. So this is all I wanted to share with you for the time being for statistics, because I thought it is very important to have to know the development of the internet and the potential it has for you as a seller over the web, the internet. So, do you want to take a short break now for questions, or do you want me to continue, Marshette?
You can continue, Peter. We'll take questions at the end.
Sure. All right. So now let's look at the type of e-commerces. I've identified 6 types. First of all, you have the business to business that we all know. Then we have the business to consumer, which most of us are aware. That is Amazon, Walmart, that is selling from their business to the consumer. Then we have business to government. Wow, what does this mean? Well, you have TurboTax, H&R Block, they prepare our taxes, and then they send our taxes directly to the government for filing and probably get a return, or maybe for some of us that have to pay. Then we go to the next level, consumer to business. Consumer to business, what is this? Sometimes a lot of people take pictures, they put them on their on website, and then you have companies, businesses buying their pictures. So this is one way of seeing consumer to business. Then we have consumer to consumer. We all know that we have buyers and sellers, and one of the best platforms so far is eBay. And last, we have consumers to government. A lot of people ask, what is this? Well, anytime you want to develop an ID or upgrade something or have your passport, then you do this online. So basically, this is from a consumer point of view to a government point of view. Now, let's look at some of the types of sites. First of all, you have the information delivery sites. Information delivery sites basically inform prospective clients and consumers about your business and entice them to work with you. In this category are most of the websites, particular business to business. So basically what I want to say here is that this is basically to give information, to gain information from consumers. The second type of site is online marketplace, is a website or an app that facilitates shopping from many different sources. The operator of the marketplace does not own any inventory. Their business is to present other people's inventory to a user and facilitate a transaction. eBay is the ultimate example of an online marketplace. They sell everything to everybody. Let's look at the third side, transactional side. People who shop online are most familiar with this type of website. A transactional site may be an electronic storefront for a brick and mortar retailer or a catalog business, for example, Target or Walmart, or a showroom for manufacturers that wish to sell directly to the public. For instance, Hewlett-Packard manufactures PCs and so on. But And they also have a showcase where you can buy directly from them if you wish to do so. Now, let's talk a little bit about strategy, the 5 steps to an international digital strategy. If you can develop a website and you want to sell through your website the product or service that you intend to sell, it is good to follow some basic rules that will help you succeed. So let's look at these steps in more details. You need to define your digital strategy. What do I want to gain out of it? So basically, what is a digital strategy? A digital strategy is how a company plans to use its technology resources. An effective strategy can help a company increase brand awareness, reach new customers, and optimize business processes. Let's talk about the objective phase. The objective phase sits at the heart of the process of creating a digital strategy. Setting clear objectives for your digital marketing activity should be the starting point to build an appropriate digital strategy. These objectives should be business objectives that can be realized through digital marketing. For example, increase in e-commerce sales, drive more leads, build audience engagement with your brand. The objective phase should be focused clearly on beginning with your key success outcome and then identifying your key performance indicators. Once you have achieved this, I think then you can begin designing the strategy that is measurable and clear. The biggest challenge now for digital is that there is so much that you can do. Being clear and concise is crucial. You have to make use of all your resources in an efficient manner. Know where your money is best spent and try to maximize budget waste. Some of the key objectives throughout a digital marketing strategy are conversion sales rate. This is a commercial success. If you want to build awareness, this is about audience reach. If you want retention, this enables you to establish customer engagement. So, digital can help deliver on any of these goals, and it's important to establish what is your priority to help choose channels and measure success. So, this is the step number 1, strategy. It's very important. And this will help you build a website that is geared to your audience in order to succeed in your goals. Step 2, website internationalization and SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization. Some of you may have heard of this. In simple terms, it means the process of improving your site to increase its visibility when people search for products or services related to your business in Google, Bing, and other search engines. The better visibility your pages have in search results, the more likely you are to garner attention and attract prospective and existing customers to your business. So, in order to assess your website, then you need to do a website globalization review gap analysis. And this is one service that is provided by the US Commercial Service. But for us to get engaged, you must have a clear strategy on what your goals are, what the product you have that you need to promote and sell, and also the target countries you're looking into expanding or selling. Fixing errors will quickly improve search engine result page ranking, which means when you improve any issues with your website, obviously you're going to increase your ranking, meaning instead of being on page 17, when you look here through your website search engine, you can obviously move it up to second, third, which would be ideal. So anything beyond 3, 4 pages, then people do not search that much. So this is why you need to have a website with a good ranking. In order to do this, you need to focus on keywords and content and link building as part of your research engine optimization. So the words, the keywords you use are part of the ranking process that will bring you up in front of the audience when they do a web page research. For you to do this, if you have the knowledge, fine, but we recommend professional service providers to fix all existing routine websites metadata. You'll need somebody that has expertise to fix this, and obviously there's a lot of companies that can provide this service. Now, let's look at the step number 3. Address your back-end digital infrastructure needs. Understand that the e-commerce sales channel is an investment. It is an investment in your business, future sales. Your overall strategy will dictate what your needs are, therefore what you need to invest in. This is why I said earlier, you need to consult a professional service provider for them to help you achieve this. Step number 4. Choose e-commerce channels. Someone might say, what e-commerce channels? But how many channels exist? Actually, there are 4 channels you can promote, sell your product. First of all, you can do this via your website, where you develop and you can have buyers go into website purchase and you sell directly, sell directly to the client. The e-commerce marketplace we mentioned, which could be Amazon, eBay, social media is another venue that can help you. And why social media? Because you might have an influencer that can support your product or service. And this way you can get sales from there. And the third distribution is third-party distribution. So if you're thinking of going overseas, say you're thinking of going to Germany, it would be best to have a local partner that can support and promote your products through their website. So basically, they will have on their website the information you provide, and what you need to do is supply that particular partner with your product, and then the partner will ship, promote the product in his country. Of course, by doing this, margin will decrease, and it becomes very competitive. On the other hand, you will have better understanding of the local market, and from the feedback you get from third-party distributors, you can improve your position in that particular country. And of course, the last step in digital strategy, establish key performance indicators. As I mentioned earlier, identify areas for improvement, solicit and monitor customer feedback regularly, and utilize data to inform management, your team, and to make marketing decisions. And one way to do this is through your website analytics. So this is something that you need to pay attention in your website analytics. What does this mean? If you have more interest from Brazil, maybe you should start focusing on this particular market. And you see this through your website analytics. If people spend more time on a particular product, maybe this is an opportunity for you to promote this more. And you can do this through website analytics. So what I would like to do now is I want to give some simple enhancements when you develop your website. So let's start with something that, if you look at your website, does your website have a separate tab that says international inquiries? If not, then foreign buyers might not understand or know that you're open for business globally. What this indicates is that by indicating this on the tab, international inquiries, this means that somebody from overseas that logs into a website says, they are doing business internationally, and maybe I should look into their website, product or services they offer, to see more, to get more information, and proceed in that way. Now, the second thing is contact information. When you have contact information on your website, do not use info@company.com as we see on many sites. This is impersonal, and it's not best practice. For the best way to tackle this is to assign a name. Even though not a specific name gets this email, you can always say Tony@yourcompany.com for international sales. So people know that they can trace Tony or email Tony for any issues or any information they need on the product or service that you offer. Better yet, if you can create a separate page for international sales on your website, this would be ideal. Third thing, show your address as you would an envelope, except do not abbreviate. Spell out your state, because TX doesn't mean too much for foreign buyers, but Texas does. Include USA in your address. By only having zip code and the state, that is not enough for overseas. You need to include USA in your address. The other thing, you need to provide direct dial phone number information in addition to domestic toll-free numbers that you might have. And you also need to make a note that domestic toll-free numbers function only within the US, because you might lose valuable information, contacts, or reach by people from overseas trying to dial an 800 number, for instance. Use international dial codes format. Put a +1. If you only put your number, for instance, 828-868-4567, people around the globe do not know, or most of them do not know, that +1 is for the US, the dial code. So it is very helpful for you when you place your phone contact information to place a +1 in front of it. So let's look at international formats. This is what we're talking about, website globalization. You need to have your website formatted to international standards. Address formats differ globally. You need to have at least 12 digits of characters for the address. And you also need to consider when you need to have, some countries don't use many combined letters and numbers. So you need to have also in your format letters and numbers. Allow for longer lines when you capture information. And in some countries, last names and titles, they may have more than one last name and a title. And for the phone number, allow more than the digits we have in the US, because some countries have more digits in their phone numbers. And like I said earlier, always include the city field and address. As you can see here, if you had only 4 lines on your website to capture information for the address, for the Netherlands, that would be fine. But if you wanted to capture information from somebody in Japan, you need to have 6 lines. So this is what we mean by website globalization standards. Now, let's look at international formats and standards. Obviously, these are small things that most of you have done, but if you haven't, this is probably best practice for you to have while you're building or you're revamping your website. Specify contact service hours in both 12 and 24 hours. Spell out the time zone because people, companies, consumers are in different time zones. For instance, office hours from, say, you're open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also include that this is 9 a.m. to 1900 GMT minus 7 hours. So they know that you're open or they know that your shop is closed. International formats and standards. Now, as far as the dates, this can be confusing because we in the US, if you were to say 9/8/2022, is this for the foreign buyer? Is this August or September for people overseas? So this is why we need to use the full month, the date, and the year. In this instance, September 8, 2015 or 2022. Number 1 recommendation, if you're going to go local or regional to try for regional, what do I mean by regional? You want to have your website focus on Latin America. Then we recommend that you need to get a professional translator. Now, as far as Latin America is concerned, we know that Brazil does not speak Spanish. They speak Portuguese. Obviously, if you're going to be focusing on Brazil, then your translation will have to be in Portuguese. The rest of the countries do speak Spanish, but the dialect is different. So we recommend that you use Colombian Spanish, which is acceptable for the remaining Latin Spanish-speaking countries. Again, you can have your website in English because English is still the language of international business. Because it is not a simple process, please, we recommend again to use professional translators. And if the cost is too much, maybe you can translate only the first page. You don't have to translate everything that is on your website. Now, translating your website, again, coming back to website globalization. If you're trying to translate English into European language, some of the language might be 30 to 40% larger, or in Asian countries, 30 to 50% smaller. So if you spell a word speed and you allot 5 spaces for it to be translated in German, guess what? The translation will not happen because the German word for speed is Geschwindigkeit, which is a long word where you need more space for it to be translated. On the other hand, if you're translating something to Chinese, you don't need 5 spaces, you only need 1 in this case. This is why you need to be careful to make sure that the text that will appear is able to appear on the translation. And one of the last things that I would like to share with you is that when you target international audience, colors do matter on your website. For instance, let's take 2 examples. If you use yellow, in Japan, it means feminine. It is courage, beauty, refinement, aristocracy. In Western civilization, Western countries, it means happiness, joy, cowardice, weakness, hazard warning, and so on. Now, if we look at the white color, Western side or countries, it means brides, wedding, angels, peace. But in Japan, white carnation symbolizes death. So we have to be very careful as well on the colors we're going to be using on our website to attract international audience. I would like to close here by saying the following. In order to succeed in your website globalization presence, market research is a key to starting your business outreach. You must have a business plan. You should take full advantage of social media for your business. And lastly, you will learn the most from your unhappy clients. I want to thank you for your attention, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you so much, Peter. That was absolutely amazing. Great information. I see we're starting to get a couple of questions in the chat. And so the first one is, how does culture impact success or failure when developing a global website?
That's a very good question. Now, culture affects that. If you want, sometimes the selling cycle in certain cultures is much more longer than in others. In cultures like Latin America, you're building relationship, either that being the consumer or the business partner. So culture is definitely something that you do need to take into consideration when building your website. For instance, England, you don't have a problem. Translate this, they function the same as in the US. They see the product, they like it, they will order it. But in Latin America or Middle East, the approach is different. You need to build that relationship.
Okay. Okay. We want you all to type your questions in the chat while we have Peter. Please utilize the chat so that we can get your questions answered. You can type them there now.
And one other thing that I forgot to mention, if you're going to be selling goods and services, obviously services is a different approach, because you do not have a basket that somebody says, yeah, I'd like to purchase your service. Services is a negotiation process. So basically they see your product and the service you offer, then they contact you, and then you go into negotiation, what your offer is, what their needs are, and then you build a pricing scheme. So this is a different approach. That doesn't mean that you cannot sell, but it's totally different. Now, as far as selling products, you will have a basket in your website so people can go in there, they select the product, but then you need to have the payment. Remember, in one of my slides, I mentioned PayPal as the major payment form. So this is something that you need to take into consideration. And in some other countries, the payment form might be something different. So this is something that you also need to take into consideration before you start selling in certain countries.
Okay. For small business owners, what's the best way to globalize your website?
First of all, I'd say you need, like I said, you need to have a strategy depending on the product you have. If you're selling in the US, obviously you have an indication of where your product is going, where the demand comes from, and then you build on globalizing your product. Because if you're able to meet US consumer needs, then obviously it's much easier to sell overseas. And I'll be very honest and frank with you. If you're not selling in the US, it's going to be very hard to sell in the US in international markets, unless you have a product that no one else can match, either price or quality.
Okay. And here's another question. Is there a global checklist available that covers many of the key issues companies face when taking a product or service global?
I think, the main thing I would say is pricing. You want to make sure that you get your margin, because a lot of times when you price overseas, you need to take into consideration the exchange rate. If you're selling in a market where the exchange rate is fluctuating, then this is something that you need to take into consideration. The second thing is tariffs. When I sell the product, do I include my tariff in the price list? If not, will the end user be surprised all of a sudden the tariff of 10% is added to the price list, therefore they will not purchase my product? So this is something that you need to research. These are the basic things that I would say are very important for you to do before you sell a product internationally.
Okay. And then Peter, what makes the difference between a successful global entrepreneur versus one who is just in the United States?
Well, like I said earlier, being a global entrepreneur, first of all, when you have a website, and most of you do have a website, and this website is seen by all international buyers. So anybody that has your website information, address, they will look into it. But then, like I said, is it translated? If they want to translate something to local language, is it translated? If they want to contact you, do you have the +1 for the US dialing code? There's minor things that you can do to improve your website globalization presence. Now, if you're selling in the US, I think the other thing also that important is the feedback you get from clients. So the rating, if you have a high rating in the US, obviously this will help very much. The second thing, a US product is, I would say, very demanded in certain markets, for instance, Latin America, some countries in Africa, and Asia, they prefer US made products. So this is an advantage. The other thing, like I said, if you get ratings on your product, price list comparison, I think these are the most important issues that you need to look and see that, I'm selling successful in the US. What am I doing that is helping me export or sell this product in the US? You will use the same format to sell overseas. The only difference is you'll take into consideration the culture, the colors that you use, make sure that your website is globalized for globalization clients and so on. So you'll be in good shape. By the way, there's a lot of information. If you go to www.trade.gov, we have a plethora of information that you can tap into and get information. And there's so much information on the internet that you can gain all kinds of information. By this, what I mean is try not to do everything by yourself unless you have the know-how, because this will save you time. Obviously, it's more expensive, but at the end, time is also money, and you want to be successful in selling. So therefore, I would highly, highly recommend that you seek advice from somebody that has done this.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Peter, because I was just going to ask, is there a place where everybody can just sort of go to get this information? So it was www.trade.gov. Okay.
Yes. And
Okay.
This is e-commerce. And we have a list of providers, resources that clients could go into and see if they want to work with them. Again, we do not recommend them. We just provide a list of providers.
Okay. And then Jessica, I think you see some more questions in the chat.
Let me see. Yes.
I think it was, why do you think global e-commerce is so challenging?
What was the question? I think we've covered this topic.
You did, yes.
Okay. Is there a consistent trend in web globalization that we should be aware of?
Yes, the consistent trend, it is growing. both in people purchasing online and goods being sold online. So I mean, this is a good indicator.
Okay,
And then this is why I shared all this data with you, because knowing this and having a product or a service, then obviously, if you position yourself in such a way, I think there's no reason why you cannot be successful. Again, it's challenging, but the opportunities do exist.
I see one that says, is the website optimization feature a service or a tool, and it is free?
Yes, the website optimization is a service that we provide. For small, medium enterprises, it is $100. And like I said earlier, you need to have a product or service. You need to be to have a strategy, meaning that you want to sell overseas, because my agency is involved in helping assisting clients to sell their products internationally, right? So if you have this criteria, then we can obviously look into your website and do a search engine optimization for you, which is a 15-page, 20-page report, and it gives you a lot of information that your webmaster can work on improving your website.
Okay.
okay. And then I think, did we answer Jasmine's question? Is there a list that shows which types of sales or services are the most used, or a graph?
Yeah, I do not have one, but if I do find one, I will share this with you, Marshette, so you can share with the people here. But obviously, number one is apparel. Then you have books. You have small gadgets. I mean, food is challenging because some countries will accept food, but some will not. So shipping food overseas, frozen goods, this falls under the agriculture agency. So you need to consult them as well.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, since people are shopping online more, is now the best time to take your business global? And that's a loaded question, because as you said, if you're not selling in the United States, then certainly you're not going to sell overseas.
Oh, no, it's going to be challenging. It all depends. I mean, if you have a product, that is price sensitive, then obviously this is going to be challenging. If it's a product that they can purchase, locally, then this could be challenging. But if you have a product that adds value, if it's a US made product, if you can differentiate this product as opposed to other competitive products, then you're in good shape.
Okay.
I see one that says, what are some of the legal obligations a small business owner should be aware of in international trade? Right.
As far as the legal aspects, I cannot help you here. We're not involved in the legal aspect. This is something you need to address with your attorneys.
Okay.
Are there any more questions for Peter?
One last thing, if you want to establish a website, you can also have a local website, for instance, in France, or you can have a local website with somebody in Spain. Now, the only difference is you have to look at how do you set up this website? For instance, in Spain, you need to have a local office established. In Spain, you don't. You can do it from the US, you can sell, but in France, you cannot do this. So these are some of the legal aspects that you need to look into before trying to establish or selling to a country overseas as well.
And then another question, what are the benefits of website globalization?
Well, the benefits is, first of all, you're able to be reached globally. People are able to contact you. You're able to capture information from around the globe. And when you do this, just think about it. If you only focus on the US, you only get information from the US. But if you focus global, In a global environment, then you get information from Asia, from Middle East. So this way you can strategize your product or service much better.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Any more questions for Peter? This is great information. Here's a question, Peter.
Mhm.
You mentioned colors could have multiple meanings in different countries. How should one navigate those conflicting meanings when creating a website?
That's a good question. I mean, it's not easy to do, but obviously there's neutral colors that you can look into the internet and find some neutral countries. For instance, when I mentioned yellow for Japan, it doesn't mean you cannot use yellow.
Right.
It all depends on the context. If the whole web page is yellow, then obviously this could be an issue. But obviously, if it's a yellow dress, that's not a problem. Okay, white. If you use white, this as a background that or white letters, everything on the website, it could be an issue. So if you use, for instance, let me give you an example. If you use American images in Asia, it will definitely not help you that much as opposed to using local images, right? So if you're going to be selling in Asia, obviously the culture is different. The images are different. Therefore, it's different. If you're going to Saudi Arabia, you're not going to have a blonde guy selling in Saudi Arabia, right? So these are the things that you need to take into consideration with regards to colors and culture.
Okay, that was good information. And then do you recommend businesses to join or become more acquainted with global agencies for more reach? For example, a local consulate office.
Well, a local consulate office will not help you because what their mission is to attract foreign investment in their country, not to sell US products overseas. Oh, you mean US consulate? Well, maybe I misunderstood the question. Can you repeat or read the question?
Sure. Do you recommend businesses to join or become more acquainted with global agencies for more reach? For example, local consulate offices.
Right. If you mean local consulate offices in Houston, where we have 76 countries being represented, no, because their mission is not to sell our products and services overseas. So basically, we would be your one stop for this. If you're looking to sell international, because like I said, we have 100 offices in the US and over 70 offices international in US embassies and consulates. So your stop would be here. And if there is some demand from some of these consulates, you usually, like I said, it's foreign direct investment in their country, not in the US.
So if a business who's on this call now, Peter, if they wanted to, they were prepared and ready, they have their product ready to be sold overseas, how do they contact you?
Right here. Here's my contact information.
Wonderful.
My email, send me an email and we'll set a counseling meeting. And there's no fee involved, okay? We're with the US Department of Commerce. We don't charge unless we only charge fees if there's a specific, for counseling, no. But if you want a service, for instance, search engine optimization, then this is a fee-based service. If you want to identify a partner overseas, and we can do this instead of you going overseas, traveling, paying ticket and so on, everything, and trying to find partners, we can do this on your behalf and you just go overseas, talk to them, or we can do this virtually. If you want to do background checks on a company that you want to sell overseas, we can do this on your behalf. This is a fee-based service.
Okay. And then so if a agency, again, they're ready to do business, but their website is not yet global, is that something you can help them with, Peter?
Well, I'll look into their website. We can do I'll have to talk with them individually.
Okay.
Yes, And I
Okay.
will definitely guide and provide guidance what they need to do.
Okay. Jessica, do you see any more questions?
No, I see only that if they're asking about the slides, if they can download the slides, or we're going to share through email.
Yes, I will share these slides with you and you can share with the audience.
Oh, okay. Okay, you can.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's it.
All right, wonderful. Well, Peter, I cannot thank you enough. The information you provided was absolutely wonderful. A lot of information here, a lot of good information, and it certainly helps us to get started with this Export Academy and putting us on the right foot. So again, thank you so much for sharing with us today about a globalized website.
My pleasure. And I think, having a website and focusing on international market is an opportunity. It's challenging, but it is an opportunity. With that, I want to thank you again. And if you need anything, please reach out to me. My email is there. I'll provide the slides and we'll take it from there.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you all so much, everybody. We do appreciate you being here with us this morning after a very long weekend. So we look forward to seeing you guys next week, where we will be talking about transportation issues now versus then. So be sure to tune in next Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. for more on our Export Academy. Thank you so much and have a phenomenal day on purpose.